It's now my pleasure to introduce our keynote. Neale Richmond, Minister for State in the Department of Finance with responsibility for financial services, credit unions and insurance. With a BA in history and a master's in politics, Minister Richmond was elected as TD in the 2020 general election. Prior to this, he was also a member of the Seanad, where he was the Fine Gael spokesperson on European affairs and chair of the Special Select Committee on the UK's withdrawal from the EU. Please welcome Minister Richmond.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. I must say I'm a little bit disappointed. Behind this blind is a stunning view of Dublin Port. And the last conference I was able to speak at, it did make for a lovely backdrop, but I am told it ruined every single photograph they tried to take. So perhaps there is method in the madness of having the curtains closed. But it is a huge pleasure, David, to be joining you here this morning, and Jim, and I want to congratulate you on your work so far. And it's a real pleasure again to be joining Assistant Commissioner Hillman on a combined effort. And we'll be referring to those combined efforts. I want to touch on a couple of topics more broadly this morning before I let you go sometime after tea time, before I go into the specifics. But I think from the get-go and from the outset, I really just want to underline the importance of the insurance sector more generally. The insurance sector is so important to Ireland. It's a key pillar of our financial services sector and employing over 28,000 people right across the country. I know this because I'm doing my best to traverse the country, north, south, east, west at the moment. In fact, I'll leave here to go to Tullamore and then on to Nina. Hopefully sometime I'll get to spend a bit of time in Ballantyre in due course, Jim. Might be something happening in the next couple of weeks that might need me there. But Ireland is absolutely a major player in the global insurance industry, being the largest exporter of insurance services in the EU. We are also the 5th largest direct insurance market and the 3rd largest reinsurance market in Europe. It is because the insurance sector is so important to Ireland that we committed to the Action Plan for Insurance Reform, a strategy to provide stability and certainty to the insurance market. I'm delighted that the vast majority of the actions have now been delivered with the objective of lowering the cost of insurance, introducing more competition into the market and preventing fraud, thereby ultimately benefiting consumers. Some of the most prominent aspects of the reform agenda include rebalancing the duty of care, reforming the Injury Resolutions Board, formerly PIAB, introducing the new personal injury guidelines, tackling fraud with the establishment of the Insurance Fraud Coordination Office within An Garda Síochána, and establishing the Office to Promote Competition in the Insurance Market, which I chair. The government remains committed to achieving a competitive and sustainable insurance market in which insurance is affordable and available for everyone. The changes that we have made to the insurance framework here have sheltered Ireland from international pressures of a hardening market we see in other countries. It is imperative for the industry to respond positively to these reforms by increasing risk appetite, further reducing prices, and working with customers to ensure that the benefits of the reforms can be fully realised. Most importantly, it should be emphasised that it is up to insurers and other stakeholders in the insurance industry to help defend the insurance reforms. This may involve insurers challenging frivolous claims, promoting and utilising the Injuries Resolution Board, and not settling cases for amounts above the personal injuries guidelines. The reforms implemented by this government are working. Motor premium prices have reduced by close to 40% compared to their peak. It's true that we have seen slight increases in motor insurance premiums recently, due mainly to rising damage costs such as more complex repairs as cars embed greater technology. This is a global phenomenon. Fortunately, our domestic reforms have to date helped offset much of the impact of these price pressures. Crucially, we continue to see competition enter our motor insurance market. These companies are so welcome. Not only do they benefit our consumers, but they also reaffirm that Ireland is an attractive place to do business. A huge amount of work has gone into implementing these reforms, and I want to thank insurance companies for working with us over the past few years. I would like to take this opportunity to reiterate how important it is that insurers continue to reflect these reforms and premiums so that insurance premiums continue decreasing. MIBI plays such an important role in compensating victims of road traffic accidents caused by uninsured and unidentified vehicles. In 2022, the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland reported that there were just under 188,000 uninsured vehicles on Irish roads, meaning that 1 in every 12 vehicles were driving without insurance in 2022. That's just behind Greece in terms of the EU league table. The rest of us are left picking up the tab for uninsured drivers, costing us between €25 to €35 per policy, approximately 6% of the average motor insurance premium. I was delighted to work with MIBI and on Garda Síochána to help tackle this issue. The rollout of the Irish motor insurance database over the course of the past year will allow us to do just that. As I'm sure today's speakers will attest to, this new roadside detection system provides a single point of reference for motor vehicles insured in Ireland. Since November 2023, details for 3 million vehicles and 5 million drivers are being provided from the database each day to Gardaí to identify uninsured drivers and to get them off our roads. This is so important in keeping our roads safe as well as reducing the cost of insurance. This is an excellent example of cooperation between government and industry as the Department of Transport and Garda Síochána Insurance Ireland and the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland working together to make this system a reality. And ladies and gentlemen, the proof is in the pudding. In July of this year, 2,436 summonses were issued by Gardaí for uninsured driving. That's up 45% on last year. A lot done, a lot more to do. I look forward to the implementation of the final phase, which will see the collection of driver number details. This will aid with identification and the linking of drivers to vehicles, assisting on Garda Síochána and adding further benefits to road safety in this country. Policyholders are also adversely affected, however, by insurance fraud, which is one of the several factors that negatively impact the cost of insurance. While the vast majority of insurance claims are genuine, fraud does continue to be a serious problem. The government has included a number of targeted measures to help reduce fraud. These have been complemented by MIBI's fighting fraud strategy and the continued work of the dedicated Insurance Fraud Coordination Office within the Garda National Economic Crime Bureau. The office was established with the aim of improving cooperation and coordination with the insurance industry, bringing consistency to the handling and investigation of insurance fraud referrals from industry, and improving subsequent referrals to the Director of Public Prosecutions. This government also legislated to place perjury on a criminal footing, thereby making it easier to prosecute. The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding for reporting on insurance fraud last year by Garda Síochána, Insurance Ireland and the Alliance for Insurance Reform is another welcome development in fighting fraud. This approach must continue to stamp out insurance fraud costs that unfortunately impact motor, home or business insurance premiums. This government is absolutely committed to changing the culture and practice of insurance fraud in Ireland, and it is important that everyone here today continues this work in your own organisations. Given MIBI's role for compensating victims of road traffic accidents, it is really important to recognise the importance of road safety. Unfortunately, we are seeing a rise in road deaths in Ireland, a hugely concerning development. We are determined, however, to turn the tide in this really worrying trend. From the development of a national safety camera strategy to addressing the issue of multiple learner permits and extending and expanding road user education, there are many measures being taken to address this. In addition, the driver curriculum review has commenced this year, and we'll see an uptick in media education and awareness campaigns. Legislation will help us also to keep our roads safe. From the Road Traffic and Roads Act, which covers the use of e-scooters, variable speed limits, the use of scramblers and quads and more, to the Road Traffic Act, which will see our penalty point system reformed, mandatory drug testing at the scenes of serious collisions and changes to our speed limits, we are committed to turning the tide on road deaths. It is expected that the new default of 60 kilometres an hour on our rural and local roads will be implemented this year, with the new limits on urban and national secondary roads to follow. Every death, ladies and gentlemen, to be quite frank, is a tragedy. It's a tragedy for the victim's family, for their friends, for their community, and it is imperative and it is a responsibility for all of us to work together to make that turn a reality. I think we owe it to everyone on our roads. Moving slightly on to a more topical theme, the transposition of the 6th Motor Insurance Directive continues to be a priority in my own department as well as the Department of Transport. This legislation ensures that vehicles can freely circulate across the EU, and in the event of an insurance company becomes insolvent, it provides for a minimum compensation floor for motor third-party liability claims. By removing barriers to compensation through the establishment of motor compensation bodies across the EU, the directive will enable effective cover and funding to allow for swift compensation resolutions in a case of a third-party accident and injury involving motor insolvent insurers. The Department of Finance has been working together with a range of stakeholders, including the Central Bank of Ireland, MIBI, the Revenue Commissioners and the Court Service, to transpose the directive through the Motor Insurance Insolvency Compensation Bill 2024. On Wednesday, the bill concluded all stages of the legislative process and it is expected to be signed into the law in the coming days. This is a really positive development for consumers by making it easier for claimants to seek compensation where due following a motor insurance failure. In order to achieve this, we have built upon the existing domestic insurance compensation framework through the appointment of the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland as the national compensation body with the centralised function of compensating policyholders and injured parties. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the MIBI board and executive for their constructive engagement and collaboration on this work, and I look forward to working with MIBI in future on these important developments. Given the week that's in it, it would be remiss of me not to touch on Budget 2025. The budget, this fifth and final one of this government, helps people when they need it most while investing in our public services and infrastructure, crucially while also saving for the future when perhaps times are not exactly as economically buoyant as they are now. Key measures include a comprehensive income tax package, cost of living measures, a range of business supports, and important measures to ensure we continue to build more homes in this country. The reduction of the Motor Insurance Insolvency Compensation Fund will be of particular interest, I'm sure, to everyone here today. I'm delighted that we are in a position to include the reduction of the levy from 1% to 0% as part of this year's budget, given the strength of the fund. This should benefit over 2.2 million motor insurance policyholders next year. This will reduce the level of motor insurance contributions by almost €20 million next year, and in turn should have a direct and positive impact on the cost of insurance for motorists. It is critical, however, for insurers to show consumers how the industry can respond positively to such measures by further reducing prices and reflecting this reduction in the cost of motor premiums from the 1st of January. Ladies and gentlemen, moving briefly beyond the insurance market and into the wider financial services sector, the government has a long-standing commitment to the development of the sector. Ireland has established itself as a major global centre for specialist financial services, and I'm so proud that we now have over 57,000 people working in the sector. That's increased by 50% since 2017 and is remarkably different from the decisions made in the late 1980s to establish the IFSC, not exactly too far from where we're indeed standing right now. To accelerate our financial services sector to even greater heights, we have the Ireland for Finance strategy to further develop the sector and to improve our competitiveness as an attractive location for innovation and for international business. Some of the factors that make Ireland an attractive and competitive location for international services are, of course, our highly educated and skilled workforce, our membership of the EU and indeed our membership of the Euro, our strong, independent regulatory regime, our stable tax regime, and that we are a common law English-speaking jurisdiction. I want to also turn, as part of that, to an important topic in the financial services, which is services industry, which I've spoken at length about, as had my predecessor, and that's in relation to gender equality. I want to congratulate MIBI for earning their second Silver Diversity and Inclusion Award, and I am pleased that MIBI has signed up to Ireland's Women in Finance Charter last year. I want to take this opportunity to encourage everyone here today, if your company has not signed up to the Charter, please seriously consider doing so. In mid-July, 91 organisations had signed up to Ireland's Women in Finance Charter, which represents over 57,600 employees in Ireland. But this is only the beginning, as we all have a responsibility to take meaningful, practical and effective steps to achieve gender equality. I would urge all firms here, not yet done so, to become signatories of the charters, not just because it's the right thing to do, but to be quite blunt, it affects your bottom line. If you want your company to make profit next year, you need to embrace the Women for Finance Charter. It's proven that it works and it's worth doing on so many different levels. But I'm not going to keep you for too much longer because I know you have a really jam-packed agenda and hopefully the traffic's cleared for me to get down to Tullamore. But I do genuinely want to thank you again for having me today and thank all of you for your help in what has been a really busy couple of years for the insurance sector. I think we can all agree that a huge amount of work has gone into insurance reform agenda, and now is the time for insurance reforms to really embrace and indeed respond to that reform agenda with lower prices and expanded coverage. And finally, and more pertinently, I would like to thank MIBI for all their work in protecting victims of uninsured driving and look forward to working closer with MIBI in the context of their new role as the Irish Motor Compensation Body. I wish you all the best for the rest of the conference and indeed enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much.